Hello, I'm Kobe Kushner. I'm an analyst here at Red Cloud. Thank you to the Canadian Securities Exchange for sponsoring this session. We're about to hear from CAVU Mining. This is a company that's on the hunt for copper in both Yukon and BC. It's run by our friend Yap. He's the CEO of the company. He's a very experienced geologist, so feel free to really pick his brain here on all things technical. Yap, you have about 15 minutes, which will follow with 5 minutes of Q&A, give or take. And viewers, please feel free to ask your questions at any time. So take it away.
Great, thanks, Kobe. So CAVU Mining, we are a copper explorer. We focus on polymetallic copper projects in Yukon and BC. Our flagship is in Yukon. The company was founded in 2020. And I should mention, I am going to make forward-looking statements. We listed on the CSE in February of 2021, financed in March, and optioned the Hopper property from Strategic Metals. We got a lot of momentum in our first year, which was very exciting. We had a drill on site within 3 months of the option. So in July, we started drilled just over a kilometer, focusing on areas on the claim where we believed we could tie in the mineralogy and geophysics to really make sure that we were set up for 2022 for a larger program. And despite there having been over 10 kilometers of drilling on the claim, our first hole hit the longest high-grade interval on the claim, 22.3 meters at 1.84% copper equivalent in Copper Castle, which is a skarn zone. We are looking to maintain that momentum in 2022. Our drilling is set to restart in May. We recently closed a $3.5 million oversubscribed private placement. So the program is financed, and we're really looking to put a good drill program onto the claim. Behind the progress of the past couple of years is a great team. People are everything when it comes to early stage exploration. On the geological side, we have myself, Lucia Tenney recently joined our board of directors. Dr. Luke Bickerton is our vice president of exploration. Both Luke and myself have PhDs in polymetallic copper systems and applicable experience in Yukon. On the corporate side, David Gertz, Danny Matthews, and Alex McCauley, lots of experience here. And on our advisory board is Alan Azurza, who represents the Indigenous perspective. He is a Tahltan First Nation citizen, and Tahltan is a First Nation which has a lot of mining activity in their region. So he's seen a lot of companies interact with First Nations, and he helps us with our community engagement. Our assets are in regions that we believe contain high value targets but are underexplored. The main project, as I said, is in Yukon. I'll get into that in a bit. They are road accessible, close to power, excellent infrastructure, which means exploration is cost efficient, and we build our exploration and the exploration strategy towards the common decision points in the life cycle of our assets, which means how do we work towards the scope of a project? What is going to be the scope? How big is the mineralized footprint? When do we work towards a maiden resource? What do we need to know to get to our next option payment or exercise, etc. Our flagship project is 120 kilometers northwest of Whitehorse. It's a porphyry, copper, and skarn system, 20 kilometers north of a hydroelectric generator, 300 kilometers from a deep sea port, and you can get to every drill pad by road. It has a proven gold and copper in skarn well over a kilometer in strike length and open for expansion, and a newly discovered porphyry. 74 square kilometers. And as I said, road accessible, permitted for road and trail building. And we have this under option for a 70% interest with Strategic Metals, a well-known project generator in the Yukon. We're committed to our stakeholder interests. The hopper is located in the Champagne and Asiac First Nations territory. It's a progressive, mining-friendly First Nation, and over 10% of our exploration budget in 2021 went to First Nation-run companies. We have effective communication channels that we're keen to keep open, and we work with them to make sure that that there are opportunities for CAFN citizens on our project. In the Yukon, the southwestern Yukon, there's a large region that is prospective for porphyry copper. Majors have recently taken an interest in the region. We believe it's fairly underexplored, and there is a series of intrusions and mineralized intrusions that are all the same age. In the north here, there is the Casino intrusion, which is a deposit explored by Western Copper and Gold, contains 9 million ounces of gold and 4.5 billion pounds of copper, and has recently seen $25 million of investment by Rio Tinto. So that's a great sign for the region. The Hopper project is 180 kilometers to the southeast or so, but in that same metallogenic episode, which is so important for intrusion-related deposits in Yukon. Newmont and Zijin are also active in the region and own part of the revenue and nucleus deposit here. The system itself on the Hopper contains what we call Copper Castle, a large skarn zone of 8, potentially up to 10 mineralized horizons, less than 400 meters deep. These are very continuous. They contain copper, silver, gold, some molybdenum, and this is open to the south, west, east, and at depth. In pink here, you see the Hopper intrusion. It has been tested by 3 diamond drill holes and a series of short percussion holes. Our first hole here intersected primary porphyry mineralization, where the combination of the mineralization and the alteration indicates we're on the low-grade margin of a larger porphyry system. Going into Copper Castle, so our first 3 holes focused on a geophysical anomaly that we felt hadn't been adequately tested, and our first hole yielded the longest high-grade intersect on the claim ever, 1.4% copper over 22.3 meters, including some gold and silver. And here is where you see an aerial view of Copper Castle with the drill roads, etc. This is the pre-2021 footprint based on all the drilling after 2010. It is 1,200 meters in strike length. Here is our 2021 extension. We drilled along this road, and we know now from connecting our drilling with the geophysics that there is the potential for an additional few hundred meters of strike length. So the system is still growing. There are also untested skarn targets to the north and south. Here, this is Copper Castle, an EM anomaly. This blue area is the Hopper intrusion with the porphyry roughly here. To the north of that intrusion is another area of skarn mineralization that hasn't been drilled yet. And we know there is skarn mineralization here from rocks and soils. Further to the south of Copper Castle, here is a similar geophysical anomaly to Copper Castle that has not been drilled nor prospected. So this really is a unprospected target. Geophysically, that looks similar to Copper Castle itself. The porphyry as I said, had been tested with 3 diamond drill holes. This hole intersected copper, but as native copper in fractures and as Skarn xenoliths within the intrusion. This is our hole, last hole from last year, which actually hit 116 meters of mineralization from surface, 0.21% copper. And here we've got this a discovery hole, because here we see the copper mineralization actually occurring with propylitic alteration and replacing mafic minerals, which is something that we need to see to know that we're looking at primary porphyry mineralization. This hole targeted 3 different data sets so that we could essentially find out which data sets to work with next year to effectively target. And we now know that towards the east, where we have a mag high as well as a soil high, that's where this system likely continues, and that's what we'll be drilling coming May. That porphyry target is about 1.5 kilometers wide. So there's a lot of room here to explore and for us to potentially find a great system. As I said, 116 meters at 0.21% copper, 0.24 copper equivalent. There's elevated silver and golden moly in the system as well. We have found minor vein controlled potassic alteration, which indicates we're not yet in the center of the system, but we can use that to vector towards the center as we get more drill holes in this area, so that we know the way that the alteration and mineralization occurs in 3D. In 2022, we intend to start drilling around this porphyry. On this image, you see a bird's eye view of all the drilling on the claim, with the porphyry target here, Copper Castle here. We intend to start on the porphyry. If the drill holes prove our thesis, then we expect to be scaling up and add an additional drill to the project so that we can drill the porphyry and Copper Castle at the same time. You can see there's a lot of drilling that's taken place here already. Copper Castle is very exciting as well, because it has these 3 holes that we drilled last year. Those are the blue dots here on this image. This is an EM. This is EM data. So where the image is more pink and red, you see more conductive targets, which based on our drill holes indicates that we're looking at, based on our drill holes, that EM anomaly is linked to the copper mineralization. You can see that the anomaly itself has not seen much drilling. Most of the drilling has occurred to the west of the anomaly, and we believe that this may turn out to be the higher grade core to Copper Castle. So these are the areas of focus for 2022. The unexplored and undrilled targets that I mentioned, depending on how these initial holes come back, we may or may not test those this year. Our share structure, we have 30 million shares out, 20 million warrants, so fully diluted 52 million shares. This is as of Feb 01, after our latest financing. Thank you.
Great. So thanks for the informative presentation there, Jaap. We'll now start with the Q&A session. So, with all the focus going on in the Yukon, what's happening with your BC asset?
We're working the BC asset. We recently acquired the Canal Copper project. This is a very recent. It's probably weeks. Just a few weeks that we've had it. This is an area where we have done the interpretation of geophysical lineaments, etc., which is why we're excited in it. It looks to be on a lineament that is similar to where Mount Poly lies on. The issue in this area is till mineralization, or not mineralization, there's till cover, so it's thick till cover. And so we will likely be doing a till program in order to start developing that target. But it's quite a different project than the hopper, just because of how developed the hopper is.
What was the rationale for acquiring this thing?
We intend to spend a small portion of our capacity and money on early stage projects. Projects that we believe are in underexplored regions, but where there is discovery potential. And so we are, continuously evaluating these kind of regions, etc. So that's, it's simply a way to keep the discovery potential there, while, on claims that we own 100% without underlying encumbrance.
Sure.
While spending only a portion of our budget and bandwidth on that.
So keeping you guys busier and diversifying your project risk.
Basically, yeah.
Right. So with that, are there any more acquisitions in the works here that we can look forward to?
Yes, we are looking at other areas and projects. We are focusing on Western Canada for those, and I can't say much more than that at this point, unfortunately.
Commodity? Still copper?
Still copper, yeah. Copper.
Okay.
I mean, we're really bullish on copper. I think copper has some of the best macro fundamentals you'll find in any of any metal, just because the main biggest copper mines, most of them are past peak production, and that's really the main thing. There's not enough supply in terms of developed projects to take over, and so the green revolution is a fantastic tailwind, but it's really about there's just not enough supply on the horizon. So I really like copper. If we find the right nickel asset, we would be interested. We're not gonna discard that. We're interested in other metals, as well. But copper is definitely the main commodity of interest for us.
Right, and we have 2 minutes left, so I like to end things on a more fun kind of question here. So you have a PhD. Tell us what's it in, and how is your specific education pertinent to exploring for skarns and porphyries?
Sure. Yeah. So my PhD was on the Proterozoic evolution of the Yukon in the Wernicke breccia, which is a set of IOCG mineralized breccias. IOCGs are iron oxide copper gold system. IOCG breccias are probably, and definitely these ones, have been the most difficult rocks that I've ever seen. So that's sort of where I cut my teeth on, and that has benefited me for everything I've looked at after, including these rocks. And and in particular, just being able to plan and knowing how remote exploration goes, etc. in the Yukon. That's of course applicable to the real porphyry brain on our team is Luke Bickerton. He's worked on many more porphyries than I have, and he's a real asset for us too while working on the hopper.